Have you ever just looked at a complex machine and wondered, how does it actually see the hidden stuff inside?
Mm.
Or maybe looked at something ordinary and thought, what invisible forces are working here?
Yeah, it's easy to take for granted.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. It's this amazing tech that lets us see inside the human body incredible detail without making a single cut.
It really is revolutionary.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding how we map a brain, or spot a tiny injury, or track a disease, all using magnets and radio waves.
That's the plan.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We'll dig into what MRI really is, how it even started, it's quite a story, and why it's just so vital in medicine today. We've waded through a lot of material to bring you the core ideas.
Absolutely. And, lots of us have had an MRI or know someone who has, right?
Sure.
But the science behind it,
Yeah.
it often feels like a black box.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to demystify that a bit.
Yeah.
Connect the dots from the physics to the actual patient care.
Hopefully some aha moments along the way.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
By the end, you'll get the basics and really appreciate the cleverness behind it all.
Okay, let's get into it then. What exactly is MRI? It sounds so futuristic. What's the actual science?
Right. So at its heart, MRI is an imaging method based on something called nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR.
NMR, okay.
It uses a really powerful magnetic field plus radio frequency energy, RF energy, to basically nudge certain atoms in your body to send out signals.
Signals, like radio signals.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And these signals are carefully picked up, and then the computer turns them into those really detailed pictures. And about that nuclear part in NMR, it's an interesting bit of history.
Oh!
That word nuclear was actually dropped when it became a medical tool back in the late 70s.
Why was that?
Well, mainly because nuclear had, negative vibes for the public then.
Yeah.
Even though here it just means the nucleus of an atom, nothing radioactive.
Ah, I see. So it was NMR at first.
Exactly. Now we just call it MRI.
Yeah.
But it's based on NMR physics.
Okay, that makes sense. A crucial difference. So this magnetic resonance thing,
Yeah.
how does that build an image?
Good question. So magnetic resonance itself, it's this cool phenomenon where atomic nuclei soak up and then spit back out energy at specific radio frequencies, but only when they're sitting in a strong magnetic field.
Like tuning forks, only vibrating at a certain pitch.
That's a great analogy, yeah. And MRI initially made images of thin slices of the body, tomograms, that's the tomographic imaging part.
Slices, right.
But now, modern MRI can build up amazing 3D images too.
Cool.
Gives doctors a much fuller picture.
So when I look at an MRI scan, those black and white squares,
Those are pixels, yeah. But each pixel actually stands for a tiny cube of tissue in your body, a voxel.
volume element, got it.
And how bright or dark that pixel is. That tells you how strong the NMR signal was from that specific little cube, that voxel.
Okay. And you mentioned powerful magnets. How powerful are we talking?
Very. We measure the magnetic field strength in Tesla.
There
Yeah. We measure the magnetic field strength in Tesla. Most clinical scanners you'd find are 1.5 Tesla or maybe 3 Tesla.
Right. And just to give everyone a sense of scale here, 1.5 or 3 Tesla. That's like tens of thousands of times stronger than the Earth's magnetic field.
Exactly.
The field that guides your compass. Yeah, this is way, way stronger.
Absolutely. It's an incredibly powerful, stable magnetic field. We call it BRO.
Wow.
And it's the absolute cornerstone of MRI. It lines up those atomic nuclei I'll talk about, gets them ready to respond.
It's pretty mind-blowing, harnessing that kind of invisible power for medicine. But like you said, it didn't just pop up overnight.
No, definitely not.
That journey from basic science to, a hospital essential,
Yeah.
what were the key steps?
Oh, it's a fantastic story. And understanding the history really makes you appreciate it more. It wasn't one person, but lots of breakthroughs building on each other, sometimes from totally different fields.
So where does it start?
Way back in 1946, two physicists, Felix Bloch and Edward Purcell, they independently discovered nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR.
The core idea.
Yep. They saw how atomic nuclei could absorb and re-emit radio waves in a magnetic field. Pure physics research at the time. They actually won the Nobel Prize for it in '52.
Okay, pure science first. When did the medical idea come in?
That was 1971. A doctor, Raymond Damadian, made a really key observation. He found that cancerous tissue behaved differently under NMR than normal tissue. It had different relaxation times.
Ah, so it could potentially show disease.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the light bulb moment. Could we use this to see disease inside the body? A huge leap for diagnostics.
Wow. Then came the first actual picture.
Right. In 1973, Paul Lauterbur managed to produce the first very basic MRI image. He did it by adding small variations, gradients, to the magnetic field.
Gradients.
Yeah, little tweaks in the field strength across space. That let him figure out where the signals were coming from. He used a math technique, kind of like early CT scans.
Yeah.
And interestingly, that same year, the first X-ray CT scanner was introduced.
Really? 1973 for both.
Yep. Showed hospitals were ready for this kind of advanced imaging tech.
Okay, so we have the idea, the diagnostic potential, a blurry first image. How did it get practical, faster, and clearer?
That's where things really accelerated. In 1975, Richard Ernst proposed using something called phase and frequency encoding, combined with a mathematical tool called the Fourier transform.
Okay, sounding technical now.
Yeah. But the upshot was it was a much faster and more precise way to build the image. And that basic method, it's still fundamental to how MRI works today.
A real game changer then.
Absolutely. Then the late 1970s saw huge speed improvements. Peter Mansfield developed a technique in 1977 called echo-planar imaging, EPI, for superfast scans. And around then, Damadian built one of the first scanners big enough for a whole human body.
So putting it all together.
Exactly. These efforts showed MRI wasn't just theory, it could actually work in a clinic.
And when did it really arrive in hospitals?
Early 1980s, that's when commercial scanners started appearing. They could do a whole body scan in maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes? That's pretty good for back then.
Yeah, but it got much faster. Through the 80s, scan times dropped to seconds, and the picture quality, the resolution, got way better. MRI quickly became essential.
Any other big leaps around then?
Well, in 1987, Charles Dumoulin figured out how to image blood flow without injecting any contrast dye. That was magnetic resonance angiography, MRA, a non-invasive way to see blood vessels. Huge.
And the brain? MRI seems amazing for brain scans.
Totally. The 1990s brought that. Functional MRI, fMRI, came along in 1992.
fMRI, that's the one that shows brain activity.
That's the one. It tracks tiny changes in blood oxygen levels, so you can basically see which parts of the brain are working when someone does a task, like watching the brain think.
Incredible.
It opened up whole new worlds for neuroscience. And fittingly, Lauterbur and Mansfield, the pioneers of imaging, got the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2003.
What a journey. So yeah, from those first fuzzy images in the 70s to pinpointing brain activity today, it's just remarkable innovation. Shows how basic science can lead to these life-changing tools.
It really does. Sometimes the biggest leaps come from connecting unexpected dots.
Okay, so connecting another dot, you mentioned specific atoms responding. Why hydrogen? Our bodies are full of different elements. Why focus on hydrogen?
Great question. Two main reasons. First, just sheer abundance. Your body is mostly water and fat, right?
Right.
Both are packed with hydrogen atoms. About 63% of all the atoms in you are hydrogen. It's everywhere. So nearly every tissue has hydrogen for the MRI to see.
Okay, so it's plentiful. What's the second reason?
Hydrogen's nucleus is just a single proton, and that proton has a property called spin. This makes it act like a tiny magnet.
Like we said earlier, the tiny magnets.
Exactly. It's an NMR active nucleus. So when you put all those hydrogen protons in the big MRI magnet, they tend to align with the field. This collective alignment creates a net magnetization that's the source of the signal MRI picks up.
So hydrogen is both common and magnetically cooperative.
Precisely. Other nuclei can be NMR active, but hydrogen gives the strongest signal in the body, and it's the most widespread. That's why imaging hydrogen gives such fantastic anatomical detail. You see it in water, in blood, spinal fluid organs, and in fat, in marrow and tissues.
It really is like tuning into the hydrogen channel to get this incredibly detailed map of us.
Yeah.
Very clever.
It is. And, that leads to a really important question people often have. What kind of energy is this? Is MRI safe?
Yeah, especially compared to X-rays or CT scans.
That's the key difference. MRI uses non-ionizing radiation.
Non-ionizing,
Meaning it doesn't have enough energy to knock electrons off atoms or, more importantly, damage your DNA. X-rays and CT scans use ionizing radiation, which can do that over time.
Okay, so what type of energy does MRI use then?
It uses energy in the radio frequency, RF range of the electromagnetic spectrum. The scanner sends short bursts of radio waves, usually in the megahertz range, to excite those hydrogen protons.
Radio waves, like from a radio station?
Exactly like that. Very low energy, long wavelength stuff. Think about the electromagnetic spectrum. Radio waves are way down at the low energy end. A 1.5 Tesla MRI uses frequencies around 64 millihertz. That's smack in the middle of the VHF radio band.
Like an old FM radio signal.
Pretty much. Contrast that with X-rays, which are incredibly high energy, high frequency radiation, way up the other end of the spectrum.
So bottom line, MRI uses energy more like your car radio than anything that could cause cellular damage from radiation.
That's the essence of it. That's huge safety advantage. No cumulative radiation dose to worry about.
Makes it great for repeated scans, or for kids, I guess.
Exactly. Now, there are other safety rules for MRI because of the super strong magnet, no metal allowed near it.
Hmm,
But radiation exposure isn't one of the concerns.
right. Okay, so we have this incredibly complex machine using powerful magnets and radio waves. But it's not just the machine, is it? You mentioned it takes a team.
Oh, absolutely. It's a highly coordinated effort involving several specialists.
Who's involved in a typical MRI scan?
Well, first off, there's the radiologist. That's the medical doctor who's an expert in interpreting medical images, X-rays, CT, and MRI.
They're the ones who read the scan.
Yes. They decide which MRI scan protocol is needed for your situation. Then they analyze the images very carefully and write the report that leads to a diagnosis. Many specialize further, like in brain imaging neuroradiology. Their expertise is crucial.
Okay, the doctor who interprets, who actually runs the machine.
That's the MRI technologist.
Mm.
They're the person you interact with most during the scan.
Right.
They position you correctly, choose and run the specific scan sequences the radiologist ordered, and they're constantly checking image quality. They need good technical skills, a solid grasp of the physics, and great patient care skills to keep you comfortable and safe during the scan.
They're the hands-on expert with the equipment and the patient.
Exactly, and thinking about safety.
With those huge magnets, yeah.
There's the MRI safety officer or specialist. This role is absolutely vital, even if you don't always see them.
What do they do?
They set up and enforce all the safety rules. They screen every single person, patients, staff, visitors, for any metal implants or objects. They train everyone on magnet safety, plan for emergencies. Their main job is preventing accidents in that powerful magnetic field.
Super important. Anyone else?
Increasingly, yes. You might have a post-processing technologist. They take the raw images and use special software to do more with them.
Like what?
Like creating detailed 3D models, maybe analyzing fMRI data for brain mapping, or applying filters to pull out even more information.
Enhancing the images after the scan.
Right. And finally, behind the scenes are the service engineers. These are the technical wizards who maintain and fix these incredibly complex machines. The magnets, the cooling systems, the electronics, the computers. They keep everything calibrated, safe, and working properly.
Wow. Okay. It really is a whole team effort then. Everyone playing a specific critical role to make sure the scan is safe, smooth, and gives the doctors the information they need.
Absolutely. Collaboration is key in an MRI unit.
So let's try to wrap this up. We've covered a lot. What are the absolute key things we want people to take away from this deep dive?
Okay. First, remember, MRI comes from nuclear magnetic resonance. It uses that powerful magnet and harmless radio waves to talk to hydrogen atoms in your body.
Right.
This gives us those incredibly detailed pictures, especially of soft tissues like the brain or muscles, without any X-ray radiation risk.
And second,
Second, it works so well because our bodies are packed with hydrogen. Those hydrogen protons act like tiny magnets that resonate with the radio pulses, sending back the signals MRI uses to build the image. It's basically listening to hydrogen.
listening to hydrogen, I like that. And finally,
And finally, remember, MRI is still quite young, technology-wise. It exploded from basic science in the 70s to a medical cornerstone today.
still evolving probably.
Definitely. And getting that scan relies on a whole team. Doctors, technologists, safety officers, engineers, all working together for a safe, effective result that really makes a difference in people's health.
It really is amazing. We went from just knowing atoms had this weird property to using invisible forces, magnetism, and radio waves to see right inside ourselves, non-invasively, with incredible detail.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden signals are out there in the universe or even inside us that we might learn to listen to someday? What else could we unlock?
It's a fascinating thought.
Well, we hope this deep dive has given you a real appreciation for MRI, cleared up some mysteries, and maybe sparked some curiosity. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed.